Imagine waking up to a breaking news. The United States has moved military into Venezuela. It sounds shocking, right? But in today's world, it's not impossible. Because this week, US President Donald Trump issued a direct warning to Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodríguez. Trump said she would pay a very big price if she refuses to cooperate with the United States. But he did not spell out what the price would: sanctions, political isolations, or something more. But the message was clear. Defiance will come at a cost. This warning came after Nicolás Maduro was taken into US custody. Maduro was Venezuela's longtime president, the political successor of Hugo Chavez, and the man who led the country through years of economic collapse, sanctions, and global isolation. In late 2025, US authorities accused Maduro of narco-terrorism and sanctions violations. According to US officials, he was captured during a covert operation while traveling under heavy security, detained outside normal diplomatic channels, and flown out of Venezuela to face charges. Washington described it as a law enforcement action. Venezuela called it an illegal seizure and a violation of international law. But Maduro removed power inside Venezuela shifted rapidly. Delcy Rodríguez emerged as the central authority backed by state institutions. She openly criticized the US action, called it a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty, and refused to fall in line. That single warning from Washington is not just a threat, it is a signal. A signal that Venezuela is no longer just a troubled country, but a pressure point in global politics. And to understand why Venezuela matters so much, we must go back in time and deep underground. Venezuela was once of Latin America's richest nations. In the 20th century, oil transformed it into a regional powerhouse. Everything changed in 1999 when Hugo Chavez came to power. He nationalized oil, challenged US influence, and aligned Venezuela against Western economic systems. After Chavez's death, Nicolás Maduro took over and Venezuela entered economic collapse, hyperinflation, mass migration, sanctions, and energy mismanagement. But here's an important note. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil resource on earth, even more than Saudi Arabia. Most of it lies in the Orinoco Belt, a massive heavy oil region. But why isn't Venezuela rich? Because heavy oil is expensive to refine and US sanctions block technology, investment, and exports. Now imagine this oil flowing freely again. For the United States, that would mean energy security, reduced dependence on Middle Eastern oil, control over Western Hemisphere energy prices, stabilizing inflation and fuel costs. In a world where energy equals power, Venezuela is a gold mine. So why the US would be keen to control Venezuela? This isn't about capturing land, it's about controlling outcomes. The US would benefit from replacing an anti-US government, opening Venezuela to Western oil companies, blocking rival powers from gaining influence, preventing energy shocks to its economy. Energy crises directly affect American inflation, elections, and global dominance. But the world is not watching silently. Venezuela isn't alone. Some countries do support Venezuela. Russia supports Venezuela to challenge US dominance and protect its own energy leverage. China has invested billions in Venezuela oil as part of its long-term resource strategy. Iran sees Venezuela as an ally against US sanctions power. Cuba provides intelligence and security cooperation. These nations don't just support Venezuela, they resist US control. And now look at Latin America. Countries around Venezuela are caught in the middle. Colombia is aligned with the United States, but it fears one thing above all: a massive wave of refugees crossing its border. Brazil wants no part of a war. It is pushing for diplomacy, not confrontation. And Guyana is already in tension with Venezuela over oil-rich border regions. In this kind of situation, one wrong move is enough to destabilize the entire continent. So could this trigger a global war? Yes, and here's how it could unfold. If the United States take military action, Russia or China wouldn't stay silent. Energy supplies would be disrupted and oil prices around the world would spike overnight. Instead of one direct war, you could see proxy conflicts spreading across Latin America, cyber attacks, sanctions, naval standoffs. This wouldn't look like World War III, but it would feel like it. A slow burning global conflict driven not by ideology but by oil, power and influence. The real question is not about democracy, not about socialism, not even about Venezuela. It's about who controls the future of energy. And in a world moving from oil scarcity to strategic control, Venezuela may become the most dangerous chess piece on the board. Wars are no longer fought only with soldiers, they are fought with pipelines, sanctions and oil barrels. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, like, share and subscribe to File in Media because the next global conflict may already be unfolding silently.